guys, this is Amrit Raj and I am back with the biology sprint series. As you all know, we have been doing 10 days, fast course for all the subjects here at Vedantu. It will help you to have better understanding of the entire subject and score more marks. It's not about marks basically, we just want you to have better understanding of all the subjects. And especially in biology, my focus would be to, clear the concepts. Basically what happens, biology, people just try to mug it up. But that's not how it is done. You need to have, visual representation of each and every phenomena going in your mind. Sorry, in your body, mind obviously, and in your body. Okay, I'll try to make you visualize certain things. And as I told you, we got I'll make a separate video if possible on diagrams. I was really surprised to see such a wonderful response from you people. Okay, I'll surely try to clear your doubts and make a separate video only for your doubts. Okay, in that session I'll clear all your doubts and whatever queries I feel it is important for you to understand, and it might come in the exam, I'll definitely make a video for that. Okay, so now today is my 4th session and we are done with life processes. I took 2 sessions for that and then I did control and coordination. Okay, this is the 4th chapter, that is how do organisms reproduce. Okay, now let's start with the chapter. People tell me, what is reproduction? What is reproduction? Yes, it is process by which new organisms are produced or brought to the world. Reproduction is the process by which new organisms are brought to the world. Right? Now, reproduction can be of 2 types. Asexual and sexual. Right, people? Reproduction is of 2 types, asexual and sexual. Can you tell me what's asexual reproduction? What is sexual reproduction? Yes, please. Yes. Asexual reproduction is a process of reproduction in which only one parent is involved. If one individual gives rise to another individual, it is called as asexual reproduction. Okay, this is a simpler form of reproduction carried out by unicellular organisms like bacteria and fungi. So what are types of asexual reproduction, people? It's a type of important question. What are types of asexual reproduction? Fission. Right? You would have studied a bacteria gives rise to 2 bacteria. Right? This is what? Non-nuclear fission. It is fission in biology, binary fission. Okay, what happens over here? A bacterial cell divides into 2 daughter bacteria, that is fission. What's the other type, people? Asexual reproduction may we have budding. What happens in budding? There is an organism. Okay, a small bud appears. Right, this bud becomes bigger, and after a point of while it detaches from the parent body and grows as a new individual. This is what is budding. Okay, these are simpler form of reproduction. See, from a parent 2 new daughters are produced. Here from a parent new organism is produced. So one individual is sufficient to create new organism. In human beings, in cat, dogs, animals, what happens? We need 2 organisms, one male organism and female organism. It is called as sexual reproduction. Okay, let's see what is sexual reproduction. right? Talking about sexual reproduction. Here what happens? One male and one female individual are involved. One male and one female individual are involved. Okay, when do I call someone male and when do I call someone as female? Yes, please. Yes, reproductive organ. Because of presence of male reproductive organ, that is testis, we call them as male. Presence of female reproductive organ, that is ovaries, we call them as females. Okay, I'll tell you what are primary reproductive organs, secondary reproductive organ. We'll do all those things. First, just understand what is sexual reproduction. Okay, what happens in sexual reproduction? Two organisms are there, male and female. Okay, now both of them, what do? They produce something called as gametes. What do they produce? They produce. People, what are gametes? Yes. What are gametes? These are what? What are they? They are reproductive cells. What are gametes? These are reproductive cells. Now what do I mean by reproductive cells? Yes, these cells help in reproduction. Like brain cells help in what? Transfer of nerve impulses. Likewise, reproductive cells help in reproduction. Your heart cell helps in what? Beating of the heart. Eye cells, retina and all helps in visual perceptions. Likewise, reproductive cells, that is the gametes, what do? They help in reproduction. The male gamete is, yes please, the male gamete is sperms and the female gamete is egg or ova. Right? What's the male gamete? Male gamete is egg. Sorry, male gamete is sperm, female gamete is egg or ova. Are you able to follow? Sexual reproduction, male and female, two organisms are needed. They produce reproductive cells. We call them as gametes. Male gamete is sperm, female gamete is egg or ova. Now what happens to these gametes? Yes, please. They unite, right? They fuse together. They fuse together and what do we get over here? We get a zygote. Are you able to follow? What do I get over here? I get a right. What do we get over here? A zygote. What is the process of fusion of male and female gametes called as? Yes, people? It is called as fertilization. Are you able to follow? Male gamete, female gamete, they fuse, by process of fertilization to form a zygote. What is a zygote? It is a single-celled organism. We all start our life as zygote. Okay, I was a single cell once upon a time. Okay, then what happened to this one cell? 2, 4, 8, 30, sorry, 8, 16, 32, 64. So, now I am millions and trillions of cells. How did I start? I started as a zygote. How did you start your life as a zygote? You were a single cell. You became many cells. You will be having a dog at your home, or cat, or any animal you see. All of them were single cell once in their lifetime. What are they? They were zygote. Now they are billions and trillions of cells. This one cell led to formation of a complex organism. Are you able to understand what the process of reproduction is, people? And in this chapter, predominantly we are going to study sexual reproduction, and human reproduction. This is the first time you are getting introduced to this chapter. Okay, so here main emphasis on sexual reproduction. Okay, you understood? This is very important. What is fertilization? Please, I would like you to note it down. Male, female gametes are produced. They fuse by the process of fertilization and form a zygote. Zygote is a single-celled organism. Okay, then let's move forward. This is the entire thing of basically reproduction. Okay, I'll just discuss certain questions. Now, reproduction happens in plants also, right? That's how new plants are produced. Plants also have what? Asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Basically, they produce seeds, pollen grains. You would have studied, right? Flowers are reproductive organ in case of plants. Reproductive organs in case of plants are flowers. Okay, then there is vegetative propagation also. You would have studied. What do? We cut stem of a plant and put it into the soil. It grows as a new plant. And you put potato tuber into the soil. What happens? New potato plant comes out of it. Okay, so these are all vegetative propagation. You would have studied of grafting, layering, all these things. Okay, I'm not going that deep. So let's study certain things, certain questions. I'll make certain concepts clearer, okay, while discussing questions. Now, list any three differences between pollination and fertilization. Okay, people, what is pollination? Yeah, what is pollination? So first of all, let's study the flower diagram. Okay, it's very important, and it might come for your exam. Please draw with me. If you draw with me, you will find it easier. Okay, I'll try to draw my flower colorful. Yes, people are able to see it. I guess this green color is not visible, but okay, I will move forward. है ना? Yeah. Yes, so this is a simple flower diagram. What is this? This is corolla. This is calyx. है ना? These are what? Sepals. These are petals. Okay, then we have the male organ. What is this, people? Stamen. Right, the male part is called as stamen. Stamen consists of anther and filament. This is anther. Okay, this is filament. Okay, then talking about female organ, what is the female organ called as, people? Pistil. Right, female organ is called as pistil. It consists of three things. What are they? Yes, stigma, style, and ovary or ovaries. This is stigma, this is style, and this is ovary. Okay, stigma, style, and ovary. Now the question is, list the differences between pollination and fertilization. Okay, what is pollination, people? What happens is this anther produces something called as pollen grains. Like in case of human, male, sperm is the male gamete. In case of plants, pollen grain is the male gamete. It carries the male gamete. When pollen grain reaches the female organ called as stigma, right, we call it as pollination. Pollination is process of movement of pollen grains to stigma. When pollen grain reaches stigma, we call it as ki pollination has taken place. Pollination is process of movement of pollen grains to the stigma. How does they move? By various agents like wind, like insects, okay, water, all these things carry pollen grains towards stigma. Now after they reach stigma, what happens over there? Yes, when pollen grains reach stigma, pollen tube develops which takes the gametes towards ovaries. They release gametes in the ovaries. Okay, so this is the entire thing basically. Now, can you tell me what's the difference between pollination and fertilization? I told you what's fertilization? Fusion of male gamete and female gamete. So first point will be the definition. Pollination is process of movement of pollen grains to stigma. Fertilization is fusion of male gamete and female gamete. Yes, second point. Yes, people. Now, that's the first definition. Okay, now pollination obviously will precede fertilization. Means pollen grains should come to the stigma, then only they will go and basically fertilization will take place. See, the pollen grains have come over here. Here we have the ovary. Now ovary has egg or ova. Ovary has egg or ova over here. I'll just try to write it little neatly. We have ovary and here it is present. Here we have egg. When the pollen grains come, a pollen tube develops and takes the pollen grain to the egg. And what will happen over here? Fertilization will happen. What's the male gamete in case of plants? Pollen grains. They come down, and female gamete is egg also, egg only. Over here in plants, we call female gamete as egg only. And when they fuse, we call as fertilization. So what is happening? Pollination precedes fertilization. Fertilization occurs only after pollination. Okay. Now, pollination carries male gametes producing pollen grains to the female sex organ. Basically, they are saying ki the pollination carries the male gametes, and fertilization is fusion of the gametes. I guess the first point is repeated over here again. It's in different words, but what you need to understand is ki what pollination is process of transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma. What is anther, people? I just told you, the male reproductive part of the plant is called as anther. From here, okay, it comes over here. It could be from a different flower also. Okay, it need not be from the same flower, it could be from a different flower also. Okay, pollination and fertilization. Okay, the next question. Expand AIDS. List any 4 methods of prevention of AIDS. People, this comes under reproductive health. Okay, this comes under reproductive health. What is AIDS? Yes, what's the full form of AIDS? Acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. It is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. People, it's a reproductively transferred disease. It basically gets transferred by sexual contact with a infected person. Okay, it it gets transferred predominantly during sexual contact with the infected person. है ना? Now, what are the other ways in which AIDS spreads? It spreads through using infected needles. What happens is, when you use infected needles, you know what happens? The people who take drugs through injections, they share common needles. So in that case, they are more prone to, getting AIDS. Okay, and people who have unprotected sex, they are also prone to have AIDS. Third thing, transfusion of infected blood. Recently what happened, Tamil Nadu mein, one guy had AIDS. His blood was, not properly checked and mistakenly given to a lady. And the lady who was pregnant also, and she got AIDS. So transfusion of infected blood can cause AIDS. Okay, so why are we talking about this in this chapter? Because these are sexually transmitted diseases, STDs we call them as. Okay, they predominantly get transferred because of sexual contact with the infected person. So what will be the common way to prevent it? First of all, avoid sex with unknown person or infected person. Second thing, use condoms. What are condoms? These are balloon shaped devices which are used during coitus or sex. Third thing, prevent using of infected needles and proper testing of blood before transfusion. Okay, these are the certain things. These are very important. Okay, if you can, please. Okay, acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. It is the full form. We had to explain it. So as I told you, use condom during sex. Okay, condom is a balloon-shaped device. Device as in it's a balloon-shaped. It's a balloon-shaped device which is put over penis at the time of sex. Okay, now next is avoid sharing needles, as I told you. The people who take drugs, okay, they what they tend to do usually, they tend to spin the needles. That should be avoided. And also what happens in villages and all, they use same needles again and again. We call those doctors as quacks. What do? They use the same needles because the poor people, they are not educated, they don't know. So they inject them with the same needles. So a disease spreads. I'm sorry. As I told you, test blood for AIDS before transfusion. Okay. Yeah. Avoid sexual contact with unknown person. Yeah. Okay. Now, next is explain the terms implantation. Explain the term implantation, placenta. What is the duration of human pregnancy? What do you mean by implantation? As I told you, this is sperm, ova. What happens? Both of them. Fertilization. Okay, we have got zygote. Now what happens to this zygote? It goes and fixes itself to walls of it fixes itself to walls of uterus. What is uterus? It's a part of female reproductive organ. Okay, you would have seen pregnant ladies, they develop a belly over here. Why? Because the zygote which was formed, it gets, I'll just draw. Okay, very bad diagram. Okay, now what happens is, the zygote which was formed, है ना, it comes and attaches itself to the uterus. This is called as implantation. People, where does fertilization take place? Yes, fertilization takes place over here. We call this place as ampullary isthmic junction or fallopian tube, you can say. This entire thing is called as fallopian tube. Fertilization takes place, human fertilization takes place where? In fallopian tube. It could be an important question. Please note it down. You know, where does it take place? It takes place in case of human beings, where does the fertilization take place? It takes place in fallopian tube. So after zygote is formed over here, it slowly moves, comes over here and attaches itself to the walls of the uterus. It comes and gets attached to the walls of the uterus. It will slowly grow in size. It will slowly grow in size. Okay, that's when the mothers become, they start developing a belly over here. What is happening over there? The baby is developing inside mother's uterus. Okay, so that's what implantation is. Implantation is process by which a zygote fixes itself to the walls of the uterus. Now, why does a zygote fix itself to the walls of the uterus? Yes? Yeah, because it takes nutrition from mother's body for survival. It takes nutrition from mother's body for survival. है ना? So that's why it needs to implant itself. Then what is placenta now? What is placenta? It is the tissue which connects mother's body and baby's body. This tissue is placenta. This tissue is placenta. What does it do? It attaches zygote with uterus. Implantation is the process of attaching. Placenta is the organ or tissue which attaches the baby with the mother's body. What does the placenta do? It provides it nutrition, removes waste material from the baby's body. है ना? So this is placenta. What is the duration of pregnancy? Yes, people, you would be knowing. 9 months we say, right? 9 महीने बाद बच्चा आ जाएगा घर पे. Okay, so that is what duration of human pregnancy. We call it as gestation period. What is it called as? Yes, please, very important. It is called as gestation. Okay, it is the gestation period. है ना? Explain the term implantation and you understood what is placenta. Okay. I guess you are clear on the part implantation, placenta and duration of the pregnancy. One liners you need to answer. Okay. Implantation, the embedding of a fertilized mammalian egg, embryo, basically zygote. है ना? Now you will say, sir, what is the difference between embryo and zygote? Right? What's the difference between embryo and zygote? Zygote is a single cell. When it becomes 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, we start calling it as embryo. Okay? जब वो बड़ा होने लगता है, single cell is zygote. When it start growing bigger, we start calling it as embryo. है ना? What is womb? Womb is the uterus I draw. है ना? I drew that. Okay? Placenta, it's a complex double layer spongy vascular tissue. है ना? Which in human, है ना, which helps in basically connecting the mother's body with the fetal tissue, or basically it helps in exchange of material between mother's body and the new baby. Okay, now we discuss this. Now next, the average duration is 40 weeks or 280 days. That is 9 months. That comes about 9 months. Okay, the next question. Differentiate between self-pollination and cross-pollination. Describe double fertilization. Okay, people, this is, double fertilization is very important. I'll just explain it to you. Now, talking about self-pollination. What is self-pollination? When anther, say, pollen grains of the same plant or same flower comes to the stigma. Cross-pollination means from different plants pollen grains are coming to a different plant. Okay, so which will give more diversity, self-pollination or cross-pollination? Please mention in the comments. Yeah, I'll trust me, I'll help you if you actively comment. Okay, you respond to my, if you respond to me, I'll respond to you people, and it's a two-way communication. Okay, chalo. So differentiate between self-pollination and cross-pollination. You understood, right? If same pollen grains from the same plant or same flower, reaches stigma, then it is self-pollination. From when pollen grains from different plant come, it is called as, yes, cross-pollination. Okay, chalo. Now let's study double fertilization. Now why do we call it as double fertilization, people? Now what happens over here is, the pollen grains reach over here. The pollen grains reach over here. Now what do? A pollen tube starts developing, as I told you. The pollen tube starts developing and it takes it to the ovule. Okay, है ना? Now what happens is, now they travel. Okay, each pollen, basically they have two male gametes enter inside an ovule. Now these two male gametes, what happens is, people, this is egg and we have polar nuclei. We have polar nuclei. Now what happens, one of the male gametes which came over here, it fuses with the egg and the other one fuses with the polar nuclei. So two fusions are taking place, one with the egg, other with the polar nuclei. That's why it is called as double fertilization. Now this egg plus it will form seed. What will this form? Seed. And this will form endosperm, that is the fruit part. Are you able to follow? What happens? Two pollen grains reach over there in the stigma. They carry male gamete. It travels through pollen tube, reaches the ovule. After reaching ovule, two gametes reach ovule. One fuses with the egg to form seed, other fuses with the polar nuclei to form endosperm. How many polar nuclei? Two polar nuclei. This is called as, so that's why this is called as triple fusion, because three cells are fusing over here. How to follow? Yes. So this is the entire process of double fertilization. Yeah. So first let's see the difference between self-pollination and cross-pollination. Basically what happens is, when the pollen grain has to travel less distance, less number of pollen grains will be produced. Obviously, the probability will be more. Say there is one plant over there somewhere, so it has to produce more and more pollen grains so that at least some of them will reach over here. So here, within the flower or between two flowers of the same plant, cross pollination from different species. Second is pollen grains are produced in small numbers, they are produced in large numbers to increase the probability. Okay, maths. Then self-pollination flowers are not attractive. Why does the flower needs to be attractive? Yes, people. Yes. Bees. What happens? The bees will come and sit on the flower. Bees are important pollinators. Bees get attracted to attractive colors. That's why flowers are colored. Okay. Whereas in case of self-pollination, what happens? The pollen grain gets transferred easily. They don't need such attractive colors and all. Okay. Now next, the offsprings produced are of same makeup, so purity of the race is maintained. It means they will be similar to their parents. Whereas if some other pollen grain comes and pollinates, then there will be diversity, there will be variation. Okay, for variation, what causes variation? Self-pollination or cross-pollination? Cross-pollination. Okay, cross-pollination causes variation, or evolution also. Over millions of years of time, it will lead to what? Evolution. During fertilization in plants, the following events take place. As I told you, one male gamete fuses with the female gamete in the embryo sac, and other male gamete fuses with the polar nuclei in the embryo sac. First forms zygote, other one forms endosperm. Zygote as in seed. Okay, the process of fusion of occurring in the embryo sac is called as double fertilization because two fertilizations taking place. One between male gamete and egg, other between male gamete and polar nuclei. That's why double fertilization. Okay, I guess this is pretty much clear and an easier chapter. Okay, write one main difference between asexual and sexual mode of reproduction. Yes, please tell me. Asexual reproduction, only one parent sufficient to produce a new organism. Sexual reproduction, two parents are needed to produce an organism. Okay, two parents are needed to produce an organism in case of sexual reproduction. Another thing, asexual reproduction where organisms are ditto copy of their parent. They are clones of their parent almost. Whereas in case of sexual reproduction, organisms are different from their parent. Now you'll be like, sir, I have twins in my class, they look similar. Why? Right? There are twins in your class? There will be twins who won't look like each other. Why? I'll tell you. Say what happens? What happens is, sometimes when a zygote is formed, right? Well, sometimes when a zygote is formed inside the mother's body, only it divides into two zygotes. One zygote divides into two zygotes. I told you, right? The fallopian tube may, the fertilization takes place and it travels to the uterus before getting implanted. So when it is traveling, what happens? From one, it becomes two, and two of them come and get implanted over there. So they are identical twins. What's happening over there? Identical twins. Where a zygote divides into two. And sometimes what happens? Two fertilization takes place. Two different sperms. Right? Two eggs are produced by mother simultaneously. So two different sperms. So that is why these two are different. They are fraternal twins. They won't look like each other. Okay, because different sperms have fertilized them. Are you able to understand? When zygote divides into two, it is monozygotic. Basically, they are identical twins. Here, they are not identical twins. Okay, people? Yeah? So yeah. First okay. There was second part also, no, to the question. Yeah, what's the second part of the question? Which species is more likely to have comparatively better chance of survival? The one reproducing asexually or the one reproducing sexually? Give reasons to justify your answer. Yes, people, tell me. Asexual reproduction will have more chances of survival or sexual reproduction? Sexual reproduction. Why? Because there will be variation. Okay, when sexual reproduction takes place, there are variations. The defects which were present in our earlier generation slowly and steadily gets eliminated. You would have studied survival of the fittest, right? So we, evolve slowly and steadily. So we develop certain immunities. Our ancestors were, very vulnerable to various diseases, but we are not. We are very strong. We get immunized. As soon as we are born, they give us injections, immunization. You would be, taking immunization injections. You are very stronger as compared to your ancestors. So your chances of survival are more. Earlier days, your grandparents, great-grandparents, they would be having 10, 20, 15 children. Why? Have you ever thought they used to have many children? Why? Because chances of survival of their kids was very low. What used to happen is, if they have 10 childs, by the time they get old, only 4 or 5 would be alive. The chances of survival were very less earlier days. Now it is more, no doubt. Yeah, that's why we are come to hum do, hamare do types. And now people are preferring only one child. The education is so costly. Okay, so yeah. So basically that's the case. Yeah, in the sexual reproduction, 2 opposite sexes are involved, whereas asexual reproduction, only one individual is sufficient. In sexual reproduction, male and female gamete formation takes place, where in asexual, no gamete formation and basically similar. Okay. Yeah, sexual reproduction organisms have better chance of survival because more variations are generated. Okay, people. So I'll end today's class over here only. And I'll continue from here. I'll draw the diagrams of male reproductive system and the female reproductive system, as I could see certain comments were there, to draw them easily. People, the thing is ki you need to draw it very fast. You need not be, spending lot of time, beautifying it. Have you seen me? I just draw it in 1 or 2 minutes. I just don't take much time. Okay, it's just to show you how. This I can beautify my diagrams, okay, but it will take me time. I don't want that. I draw in 1 or 2 minutes, less than 30 seconds, 40 seconds, I can draw any diagrams because I have practiced it so many times. So teachers also don't expect you to beautify it. Just draw the basic understanding, so that I should know ki what a kidney looks like, what are the main parts of human reproductive system. That's all it is. Okay, so yeah, thank you guys for your wonderful support. Keep following us. I'll try to continue. I will continue. I will not try. I will continue. I'll try to solve as many doubts as possible and cover more and more topics and explanation as much as possible in my limited time, because I have certain constraints and I have to manage certain things. So we will do that. Okay, and what I expect you to do is just note down whatever we are discussing in the class. Write it down using pen and paper, revise it again and again for 1 hour, whatever time you are with us. Give it dedicatedly, give more time, stay focused, stay calm, and you will do wonders. Wonders as in give more time, you will be able to do good in your board exams. Okay, there are 2 things, people. There is one is threat perception, there is one challenge perception. It's all over here. If you consider your exams as threat, there are more chances you will tremble. But if you consider it as a challenge, right? Challenge perception, you'll go and rock it. You will kill it. Okay? So all the best. Take care. Take good rest. Don't stress. Stay focused. Stay calm. Work hard. Give more time. And all the best. See you.